O'Brien, what do you think of that?
Sure, it's a cracking championship throw, isn't it? They're great games in Munster.
I thought there was some great games of holding games tonight.
But as we always say, goals will win games.
He hits it! It's over the bar! Oh! Holy Moses! I believe the Irish personnel working with the UN are listening to the match in Cyprus. Tardine and Arthur kind of full.
But I tell you what, you can forget about Sean Kavanagh as far as he's a man.
Hi guys, you're all very welcome to a very special episode of the Loaf of Bread GAA podcast. I'm breaking from tradition here of having just GAA chats and I'm not going around the world. As always, this time I'm going to Kildare/Dublin and I'm joined by Connla McCarthy, who is a former journalist of the Westmeath Topic, is now with the Kildare Nationalist and the Offaly Tribune. Connla, it's great to have you on.
Oh, it's great to be here, Jason. It's fantastic. I'm really buzzing for this. Thank you.
One of your first podcast appearances, is it?
My very first, actually. So it's even more special.
Amazing.
So you have the honours, my friend.
Yeah, I feel very privileged to have you on. But yeah, myself and Connor are going to break a little bit from tradition here of just doing GAA. We're going to have I haven't done this in the 3 and a bit years of doing the podcast for anyone who's listening all the time. But we're going to do a little bit of a review of the sporting year. We're just going to focus on a couple of little bits and pieces from January through to what are we now, November, and then we'll have a quick chat about at the end about something that's, I suppose, in the news today and will be tomorrow after Ireland play New Zealand and all that. And by the time, well, this will be hopefully going out pretty soon after. He may still be in a job, he may not be in a job, but we'll discuss all that in time. But Connla, I suppose if we're going through the year kind of in some sort of chronological order to start, Chiefs beat the Eagles obviously in the Super Bowl, which was the biggest watched event in the world during the year so far. And then we went on to the Six Nations and we had Ireland winning their first Grand Slam ever in Dublin, their fourth Grand Slam ever. What did you make of the Six Nations?
Yeah, it was quite entertaining. Of course, you had us kind of rule the roost, I suppose. It was great to watch, especially when we played France in the Aviva. France brought their A game and it was a great spectacle, but it was competitive and Italy were much more competitive as well. It's great to see them doing better and just in general kind of to get the Grand Slam. It was just it was just really sweet, and at the time, I was probably slightly worried, are we peaking too early again? But I think the World Cup showed that we just missed out. So it was great Grand Slam and sweet to do it against England as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, March 18th, a great day this year when we beat England. You mentioned France been, fantastic team to watch and that showed at the World Cup as well. We'll come on to the World Cup in a while. For Ireland, can you think of any standout players that you remember? I know Mac Hansen, James Lowe were the joint second, I think, highest try scorers in it. Any standouts for you?
Yeah, they were. I think they played very well, especially Hansen. And I think his second Six Nations, if I'm correct in saying that. They fit into the team well, and they were very good throughout. And I think it was a much more of a kind of a team effort as well. I think that's one of the things Andy Farrell has brought in. It's more of kind of the team effort. Of course, you have Johnny there, and it was great to watch him while he was there. But you had the likes of Caelan Doris as well, and the Flair was again, Trojan for working hard. So there was other standouts as well, but I suppose when Lowe and Hansen, as you said, joints kind of second highest try scorers or something like that, they will stand out and they earned it.
There's something there you've said. I suppose we'll probably touch on when we chat about the World Cup in a little while as well, about that team unity that Andy Farrell has brought. It was mentioned so many times by Sexton and others. They said it was I think their most favourite camp they were ever in. Wow. What about the I suppose the performance you were mentioning about Italy, about them improving?
Yeah, I suppose they got the monkey off the back with their win last year against Wales. I wasn't watching it, but it was gas because I was on flicking through my phone and at the time, and I just popped up Italy with their first win. And I was going, what?
Yeah.
I was confused, saying what they actually did, and I checked it. And last minute tried, they actually did. And was delighted for Italy. And I think the World Cup, they didn't win a match, but they did learn a lot in that time. And you point again, like I was watching Ireland when we played Italy, and like, yes, we weren't really at our best, but part of that was due to kind of Italy just playing really well. Like, Italy were fantastic, you know, even when we got the bonus point secured, they kept fighting. And it was only till we got the fifth try that we finally broke them. So that's Trojan to how far Italy have come. Now we'll touch on the World Cup later. But the Six Nations, and at the time it was fantastic, and a great buzz, I suppose, around Italy rugby as well, which is great for the country.
Absolutely, yeah. There is the argument, which I suppose is probably for another day, that for all the 2 steps forward that Italy have made, every other country around them has probably made 5 or 6. So the progression is probably limited in some ways. Do you think is there a spot maybe for Portugal or somebody to come into the Six Nations after their World Cup performance?
I think, you know, weaker nations would love the opportunity to get into the Six Nations. You know, who wouldn't? And I suppose, like, my view would be kind of probably a promotion relegation.
Yep.
Either that, or you have 2 groups of 6 and then kind of do that and have playoffs and relegation and all that. You could have it that way either, to kind of give more weaker teams in the competition and to make it more competitive and give them a chance of actually kind of staying in it and improving. So I think, you know, it would be a great step forward for rugby if the likes of Portugal and Georgia and all these lads kind of go after a chance. You know what I mean? Because, you know, it took a long time for Italy to get forward, but once they did, you know, we could see them improving all the time. And, you know, you had, you know, the big upsets in the World Cup, which we'll talk about in a bit. And it was, you know, it was, I think it's common sense for the Six Nations to just look at it and try and incorporate these weaker nations, because without it, you know, without kind of promotion and relegation and maybe the addition of more teams, like, you'd have kind of the stronger growing stronger and the weak kind of slowly continuing to stay at the bottom, which is not good for the health of world rugby. So, like, I think, yeah, so that kind of, in that kind of way, for kind of, I think that kind of system will greatly improve the weaker teams as well, give them a good chance.
Completely agree. Yeah, I'd be in favor of like an AAB or Division 1, you know, underneath the Six Nations or something, or a championship, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that's hopefully one we will see, I would say, in the next few years, in our lifetime anyway, for sure, hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed, definitely, yeah. France then, of course, you had Thomas Ramos, Damien Pinot and the rest, and we might come back to them when we chat about the World Cup, because there's quite a bit in that. But if we went on then past April, I think it was, the Grand National, then Cork Rambler, Derek Fox, Lucinda Russell down in Wexford winning the Grand National at 8-1, which was delighted I backed that one. And then we had the Premier League.
Had a bit of money, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah. Then we had the finish.
We're covered for the night.
yeah. With the finish of the Premier League, then Man City winning it again. Probably the first thing we might chat before mentioning anything to do with teams and stuff is the famous 3 letters VAR. What's your general opinion on
it? It's kind of mixed for me. Like, there has been kind of big kind of mistakes and errors VAR have got, and you know, my Premier League team was on the was on the wrong side of it, you know, me being Arsenal. But
that's a pity.
Like, I think what?
That's a pity in more ways than one.
Not only did we bottle the league, but that happened as well. But sure, look, there needs to be a big improvement, I suppose, in VAR, because the intentions of it is good, kind of, so that the decisions are more fair. But I think it is kind of poisoned the sport a little bit. I think it just needs to be better organized. And I think, you have the TMO, which in rugby, which is ahead of VAR at the moment. You can listen in to the ref and how they're communicating. I think that should be implemented so that there'd be a better understanding about why the referee has made that decision. Now, that's not going to cut out all the mistakes, because you're always going to have human error. That's just natural. That's something you can't take away. But to make the games as fair as possible and all that, I think it just needs, as I said, better organized, kind of more kind of perspectives.
Have you seen the Arsene Wenger take on it?
I've heard about it, haven't read into it in detail, but I heard he kind of took a slate at it as well.
He's got the kind of notion that if you had daylight between the attacker and the defender, if you can draw a line between the two of them, then if the line is clear and there's no, crossover of the two bodies, then it's offside. But if any part of the attacker and the defender are still within sort of, on the same line as each other, then you let it go, which I think is probably a slightly better version. Maybe. What do you think?
I suppose you won't get called offside if you're calling for the ball and your hand is over there, and then the ball is played into you. Because there has been kind of that mistake that has been, you look at, just a few examples. Garnacho, against Arsenal, you had
robbed.
I was watching it actually in my sitting room with the Arsenal jersey on, just roaring on and all the rest. And at the moment, as post played through, I went, shit, Garnacho's onside. And he scored. And then I looked at it, and it wasn't, apparently. So afterwards, I was kind of, one of my friends, massive Man United fan, and as you can presume, he wasn't that happy. After, he was of course angry about it, and he was arguing that it wasn't offside. So he sent me the correct picture, and I lined it up, and it's safe to say we got out of jail. Because we were on the right side of that, but then, as I said earlier, we were on the wrong side of it against Newcastle, and we don't really need to. I think everyone knows how Liverpool kind of got done dirty as well. By it. So,
we don't mind that, though. I don't mind Liverpool getting
we don't mind. No,
that's fine.
One less challenger for the title.
Exactly. Yeah,
might be one.
Deadly.
You could do that to City. That'd be great.
That would be great. And speaking of City, we had Haaland knocking in, 36 goals or something ridiculous last year. He's still the man to beat in world football, really, in many ways.
Yeah, he is. That there was the argument beforehand that would the nerves get to him and all that, but I think Pep ball has really suited him. He's this big kind of physical kind of striker, and he knows how to score goals, and that's why City bought him for the money that they did. You definitely don't want him running at you. That's for sure. But he was very talented, and I think the kind of way Pep has gotten City to play, it kind of fitted in very well, because he got hat-tricks. I know they were against kind of the likes of United and all that, but
wow.
But
subtle dig in there somewhere.
Someday, I don't think some reviewers will be happy with me after saying that, but they want me heads after that. But Yeah, I suppose, you know, he did hit the ground running, and he's a great buy for City. Yeah, he genuinely is.
Unfortunately, yeah. Pep's
Unfortunately, yeah.
Pep's style definitely suits him because he scored most of his goals, I think, with like one touch. So it's quite he's quite an annoying one, I suppose, for many teams. But Newcastle finishing fourth. They've unfortunately, Europe doesn't look like it's going to go their way for them. But great to see them back in Europe. I think for anyone who is a fan of 90s and 2000s Premier League.
Yeah, and if you're a long time Newcastle fan, if you've just gone through kind of the pre Saudi takeover phase or pre Eddie Howe really, you know, it was I suppose being a Newcastle fan around that time was just kind of a pain in the arse, and was just kind of sad because you know you look at the past with the likes of, you know, the Aaron Shearer, and as you said, the kind of the 2000s periods, kind of Newcastle at their golden peak, I suppose. And it's great to see them, and of course a lot of it has to do with the money. You know, there's no going around it, no getting around it. So you could argue that, but I think what Eddie Howe has done at Newcastle has been very good. They've not overspent. You know, they've spent smartly with the money that they've been given, and it's really paid off. And it did pay off with top four. And if you're a Newcastle fan, you'd presume that you're pretty much out of the Champions League, but you'd be hoping that, you know, Newcastle could build on this and then push further on in the future, I'd say, because they'll get a healthy amount of money for just being in the Champions League. So I suppose, you know, with that and then the Saudi money, they'll have fun kind of with the next transfer market.
Yeah. And your own Arsenal, before we leave last season's Premier League, we'll probably come back to this season's one near the end.
Oh, don't remind me of last season.
How did last season go for you as an Arsenal fan?
It was gas because I think it was kind of a little bit after I think my first kind of match I watched fully was the Everton defeat, and at the time it was assumed that it was going to be a one-off kind of result, kind of a fluke result, and we'd carry on. I think it was then that I saw that
I could pieces.
Not really. I think I think it was after, you know, we had Palace 4-1 afterwards or something. But I think it was you know, I think it was just before that match that I kind of became an Arsenal fan, because, you know, I learned that, you know, my granddad used to be Gunners, so I thought I might as well continue the family tradition while we're doing well. So we're mainly Gab, but as you can tell, but might as well. So it was painful. Not gonna lie to you. I think it was just such a young team, kind of running out of steam, and then when you have the likes of City, kind of on that 14-game winning streak, you know, Pep has it baited into his players how to win the Premier League. They know very well, and when you're coming up against that, it's you know, you don't have much chance. But it was still painful because it was there. You know, we were 2-0 up against West Ham, bottled it. 2-0 up against Liverpool, bottled it. And I suppose after we got, you know, destroyed 3-0 away to Brighton, you kind of just went, for feck's sake.
That was funny. I do remember that, actually. That was funny now that you say it. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was not a good memory. Thankfully, I didn't watch it now. That saved me a bit of
yeah. What about after Arsenal's bottle job was over? Then the Champions League final, not the greatest advert, I suppose, as Champions League finals go, but City doing the. Is it worth calling it a treble? Really, is it that good of a treble compared to United's? It's still a treble, I know, but
Yeah, I suppose so. And it's, City fans have waited so long for silverware. I think for them, it was great, and it was
They've
a
only been a
great
club
treble.
though
And
about 10 years,
obviously,
haven't they? Man City.
sorry.
They're only really a club like 10 years. They're
Yeah,
the
that's
old Man
true.
City is gone. That city doesn't exist
Yeah,
anymore.
kind
So
of the championship kind of lower
yeah,
Premier League Man City is gone.
yeah,
The Man City we all would have preferred is dead and buried.
yeah,
But yeah, I suppose and City fans would will love to get one over their neighbours, and will always defend that theirs is better than United no matter what. But I suppose United's was more impressive. I suppose it kind of it felt more like a bigger achievement, but because City have been kind of building and building, and they've been bottled in the Champions League for so long, and then they finally got it, but at what cost? It didn't really feel kind of that big, and I suppose like a part of that is kind of Inter Milan kind of going under the radar as well. It wasn't, they didn't like shock anyone or really kind of light up and surprise anyone. It was kind of it's, I don't really want to say it, but it was kind of a meh Champions League final.
Yeah.
There wasn't much excitement beforehand, but I did see at the end, I did flicking on at the end, and I did get to see a bit of the celebrations against me will. So
yeah.
But look, I suppose it's great for City, but for everyone else, it's kind of roll your eyes and move on.
Yeah,
to be honest.
That's probably a good way to describe it. Actually, roll your eyes and move on. Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah.
We might come back to the GAA maybe in a little bit because there's a good bit in that, obviously. But if we stick with the soccer for a little bit, the Women's World Cup, then we had such a huge build up with Vera and Katie McCabe and everything that went in between. Amber Barrett's goal against Scotland, and then we came up against the host Australia in front of 80,000 people in the first game, and then Canada and Nigeria. How would you, I suppose, if you had to sum up Ireland's World Cup? Very good, overachieved, underachieved. What would you think?
Well, I suppose kind of, we're such great fans in this country. You know what I mean? They knew they had our full support, but answering your question, I think it was I suppose it's kind of hard to say really, because Ireland were building up momentum. You referred to our big win against Scotland, and kind of the what happened before and afterwards, kind of the emotion that went into all of that, and to get just the points, and to not kind of do this miracle run that I suppose the men's team did during the 90s and late 80s, at World Cups. It's like the result is like slightly underwhelming considering the hype, but at the same time it's great for the women's game that the international team actually got to a World Cup. Because the men's team didn't, but it's great that we got to get behind the girls in green, I suppose. Even if it was kind of short enough, it was great to kind of get behind them. And I was listening to the Ireland-Australia match. It was live on the radio in the car. I don't know where we were, but it was very winnable. From what I heard on the radio, we could have easily won that match, and because we had chances and everything. I didn't get to watch any of the matches, unfortunately, but I'm hoping that if we qualify for the next World Cup, get to watch one or two matches. But the result is disappointing, but I think the knock-on effects in terms of getting kind of more young women to play the game, that's kind of a big achievement in itself for the women's team, because they have inspired so many young girls to take up football, and and from that perspective, it's a massive achievement. But
what about
like
Vera getting sacked? Do you think that was the right call, the wrong call?
I'm not sure. I think she lost the dressing room. And once you lose the dressing room, it kind of falls apart. Excuse me. So I think like she did lose the dressing room, and I suppose once that happens, I don't think she would have gotten the same kind of rewards out of it. But I do think it was sad, kind of the way it was played out, that Pau didn't get a chance to kind of defend herself and say kind of and get another chance, I suppose, to prove it at another big tournament. And I did hear that she was so connected to the country and with the people and everything. She was very disappointed to go. So like I suppose she should have gotten the chance at the Euros, is my view. But again, she did lose the dressing room, so if she was there, you'd be thinking, right, would we have gotten out of our group, say, in the Euros? Like, what would have happened? That's kind of my view on it.
Yeah, that's a fair call. Yeah, and good luck to Eileen Gleeson. I suppose she's been doing pretty well since she stepped into the fold as well. Unfortunately, Katie McCabe's goal was all we had on the scoreboard to show for our trip down to Australia, but heads held high
that
for
was
the
a
girls
loss.
in green. Yeah, I know, our only goal we had to show, which is an awful pity. But hopefully the girls in green will be back again under either whether it's under Eileen or whether it's under somebody else. So after Women's World Cup, then we might continue with the soccer team just a little bit more. We went through September then with Europe winning the Ryder Cup 16.5 to 11.5, which was phenomenal. I was glued to every bit of that. Did you watch any of the Ryder Cup while we're on it?
I wouldn't really, but my youngest sister is into horses, so she'd probably know all about that. So.
All right, fair enough. And then the League of Ireland. We have Shamrock Rovers winning 4 in a row. You are you're follow the League of Ireland, I presume.
And I would be a hoop myself, so it was something went right anyways this year.
Can't stand Shamrock Rovers. Can't stand them.
I think everyone's getting sick of them at this stage, but
I never liked them. I've been a Sligo Rovers fan since I was very young. Not by
you're Sligo?
Not by geographical. I'm Mullingar, obviously, but just friends of mine brought me to the showgrounds when I was young, and I said these lads will do grand. Seamus Coleman was playing that day for Sligo Rovers. And a few other great names of Irish soccer. But you're great times for Shamrock Rovers fans then after 4 in a row.
4 in a row, it's fantastic. And it was great to go to the matches. I only went this year. Thankfully, my friend, the United fan who I previously talked about, he's Shamrock Rovers as well, and he brought me to the matches. And it was fantastic. And this, I suppose, this is a kind of a glory era for Shamrock Rovers, because I suspect that Derry and Pats will catch up, and next year it'll be some title. It'll be some battle between the three for the title. But it was great to win it. Kind of unfortunately we weren't there at when we did win it against Sligo, but we were at the Bows match when we bet them 3-0, and it was one of the highlights of my year. One of the greatest moments, because we were in with the ultras as well. It was great.
Nice.
And just something about the League of Ireland fans, I don't know, like, and I was just at the cup final earlier this month. It was something. There's something different about the League of Ireland fans. Doesn't matter which fan base it is, it's so passionate, and like, and I was, the few matches I was at, there wasn't one moment where any of the fans would stop singing. You had a sore throat afterwards. That came with the experience.
Yeah.
So, but it was sweet to win it after, to get the 4 in a row, to do it for the second time. And hopefully we can, the drive for 5 will be there next year, and hopefully we can get the job done there.
Sounds good, yeah. So yeah, we've had a chat in so far then about the Six Nations, a little bit about last season's Premier League, the Women's World Cup, and the League of Ireland. So in the second half then we're going to have a chat then about the Rugby World Cup, the All Ireland from last year, the men's and women's, and how things went there. And we'll also have a quick chat as well about Stephen Kenny and the Premier League for 2024, and will Man City continue the run once again. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Have you noticed a difference in your pupil or children's behaviour since the pandemic? If so, you're not alone. The A Lust for Life Schools programme is a primary school wellbeing programme which teaches kids from 3rd to 6th class the tools to manage their own minds at a very young age. Something I'm sure we all could have done with when we were in school. It's a free programme for schools to use, and it's A Lust for Life's mission to reach every child in Ireland with it. The programme is designed to equip children with the tools and skills to navigate the ups and downs of life by building emotional resilience, emotional literacy and emotional awareness. All you need is a screen, audio speakers and an internet connection. For more information on the A Lust for Life Schools programme, you can visit the A Lust for Life website or email the team directly at alflschools@alustforlife.com. If you would like to provide future generations in Ireland with the resources to be effective guardians of their own minds, then the A Lust for Life Schools programme is for you.
Hi folks, you're very welcome back here. Myself and Connla McCarthy back for the second half. So we've had a good chat about plenty of the sport from 2023 in the first half, and now we're going to delve into the other parts, which might be some of the bigger ones perhaps, the Rugby World Cup, the All-Ireland men's and women's season from 2023, the fate of Stephen Kenny, which we're going to hold a separate section on that, and then we'll have a little bit of a kind of quick fire round at the end. For those who've listened to the Loaf of Bread over the past couple of years, generally had a quick fire round with the teams from around the world, some sort of fun questions, all GA based. So for this one, we're going to have a look at the who will win. So we're going to give our predictions for Premier League and a few other sporting events for 2023, well, mostly 2024. So we'll see how many Connla gets wrong when he picks Arsenal and a few others. Yeah, but we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, so we'll jump into the Rugby World Cup then. South Africa winning once again. Ireland's quarter-final hoodoo did not go away despite everything that we thought. England annoyingly managed to get to a semi-final by strolling through the boring side of the draw. And then the likes of Portugal, of course, decided to shock the rugby world by entertaining us, to say the very least. What was your take on, say, the World Cup in general?
Well, if you take away kind of the lopsidedness of it, it was, it was great that we had the upsets to kind of keep a little spark to it. Since we are fortunate enough that our team kind of did very well and are one of the top teams, and we were the best in the world, and very unlucky to lose out on the semi-final, and if the curse continues, I suppose. So, but all in all, like that, it was kind of like a mixed bag, I felt. Part of it was because of how it was drawn. You had the top four on one half, and then the likes of England kind of stumbling to the semi-final, but then apart from the big kind of 80-90 point wins, we dealt a big blow to Romania ourselves on the first game. But other than that, you had Portugal beating Georgia, who, don't forget, did stun Australia as well. So,
Right.
and they were unfortunate not to stun England as well in the quarters. So, that it was kind of one and the other kind of mixed bag for me.
And you mentioned at the start about the lopsidedness of the draw. I suppose we talked earlier about what competition were we talking about? We were talking about Six Nations or something about what came out of it, or the Women's World Cup, I should say, at the end of it. Probably the one positive that's come out of this World Cup is that the draw now is not going to be made 3 years in advance. It's going to be about 12 months or so, which will maybe take out the lopsidedness a little bit, perhaps.
Yeah. You saw it in the us and the All Blacks and France, South Africa. I mean, two titanic games. France and South Africa, that felt like a World Cup final. So did ours against the All Blacks. And then like the World Cup final, I mean, we don't even need to say enough of it. It's already been said how brilliant of a final that was. But it's what you can expect from All Black Springbok clash. So
do you think we underachieved?
Slightly. We were capable enough to get to a final. I suppose before the World Cup you would have been thinking maybe a France-Ireland final was on the cards. And I expected France to be thereabouts as well, because it's their World Cup. And they've been building. And I think we all had the hope that it wasn't going to be the same old, that we weren't peaking too early again. But I think just like it was kind of, if the ball bounced differently, we would have beaten the All Blacks. And therefore made a final. So it's and so on that kind of that perspective, it is we did slightly underachieve, especially we were especially kind of doing it for Johnny. Another big part as well. And but yeah, it was disappointing to go out, but hopefully in the next World Cup, and hopefully Andy Farrell will be still there for the next World Cup, and hopefully then we'll break the curse
eventually.
So, hopefully we won't turn into Mayo now.
I don't think we'll ever turn into Mayo. We'll never be that bad. All the Mayo people listening now have immediately turned off the abusive messages and become
me wearing the Dublin crest was probably a bit of foreshadowing.
No, not at all. And the fact that I really don't like Mayo. Anyway, we're not going to get into my hatred of Mayo and their stories.
We've angered enough people already. We might as well just.
I tend to anger a lot more normally, but this will do fine for now. So the Rugby World Cup then, South Africa. Deserved winners then, would you say, overall?
I mean, I saw the they weren't it wasn't the same as 4 years ago. We were all taken aback by South Africa 4 years ago, whereas this year, in this World Cup, excuse me, we knew what to expect. And you look at all those 1 point wins, quarterfinals bet France by a point, semi-finals bet England by a point, final bet All Blacks by a point. Like they showed why they were champions, as in getting the results when it was tight and digging deep enough to grind out that 1 point win. Those how they showed why they were champions in those instances.
Is it like the Rassie Erasmus effect?
Yeah, I'd say so. Because they were in a little bit of bother beforehand. Of course, losing to Japan, of course, in 2015 and all that. But Rassie has brought in, I think, kind of a standard, and bringing an identity to the way the Springboks play. Because now, they're gonna try absolutely mill the shite out of you. that's what you could expect when you're playing the Springboks.
Yeah.
So he's brought that, and we were the only team to beat them, but it's unfortunate that as we referred to, ours was cut short.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, it would have been great to see us get to a semi-final or even a final. Maybe we're asking too much, maybe put too much pressure on them, but yeah, it would have been nice to get a little bit further, for sure. And then if we move on to the All-Ireland series from 2023, it was a victory once again for Limerick, unfortunately. Victory for Dublin, unfortunately. Victory for Dublin in the women, unfortunately. Victory for Cork in the camogie, which isn't too bad because I've got family in Cork, so I don't mind. You have the Dublin jumper on Connla. There's probably only one place to start, the men's and women's double. Happy enough with the season for the Dubs?
Yeah, Dublin perspective, it was a great season. In the football, anyways. The ladies doing well. It's great to see them doing it again, winning another All-Ireland. They, of course, did the 4 in a row not too long ago. It's probably why everyone's so sick of them at this point.
Yeah.
But it's I was actually at the All-Ireland this year, and it was the sweetest of them all to win, especially after last year. How it went. And to make matters worse, I suppose, for everyone outside of Dublin, to make it better, I was on the hill last year when we lost, so I wasn't right behind Seanie O'Shea's winner. So that wasn't great. So for us to get revenge on the Kingdom was very sweet, and it was definitely my best sporting moment of the year. It was just such a great feeling to finally kind of win one again, because if James and all stick on next year to go for the 10, then we're in with a shot of winning it. But if not, then we won't be expecting to win one for another few years, because we'll go through development again. But it was great to win this one, to do the 9 for Clucko, for James, and for Mick. It was fantastic. It was a great memory, not for everyone outside Dublin, but for Dubs. It was very sweet.
Yeah, to be fair, it was a good season overall. There was all the talk of Ulster football saving the provinces and all this. Really, Ulster football isn't all that great. It's a lot of drama in the last few minutes because the game has been so tight and potentially boring up until that point that you can't save provincial football with 10 minutes of drama at the end of a couple of games, I'm afraid. But anyway, that's definitely another day's chat. But Dublin winning it.
If I'm allowed on, of course.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah. I suppose from a Dublin point of view, the rise of David Clifford continues on and on. Another player of the year. Yesterday, he was so unfortunate to be on the losing side for Fossa in the intermediate final, kicking 12 points and to lose by a single one. And then that outrageous pass against Tyrone, I think it was, wasn't it? From the sideline. He's just, even as a Dub, you probably have to appreciate the star he is.
You do. No matter which part of the country you're from, you do have to admit, he's a very skillful footballer. And even in the All-Ireland final, even when Mick was all over him, he still kicked 3 or 4 points, and that's a bad day for him. So that's saying something. But he is probably the next Cooch, kind of the next great Kerry footballer. And he is going to have some future for Kerry. He is going to win a couple more All-Irelands. I could definitely see it happening. He has really come on. I think I was back in 2017. I was at the Mayo final, and of course he was playing on the minor team that were playing Derry that day. And I remember he scored 4-4 in that minor final.
That. Yeah.
And you were thinking and like 4-4 in an All-Ireland final. You know what I mean? It was incredible, and I was there, and he was just, the Derry lads just could not keep hold with him. He was just all over them. And I was wondering, like, of course at the time, Kerry wanted to get him into the senior team as soon as possible, and you were thinking, are they rushing it? Will it get to him? And he's just improved year on year. I think Con got the better of him in 2019, but ever since 2021, at least, he has been the best player in the country. And he will be. You could definitely see that he'll keep on going on this trajectory. And if this is him now, who knows what it'll be like in a few years. That's, I think, the scary part for the rest of the country. He's just a great footballer.
Yeah, he is. He's phenomenal. He's probably, I would say,
Still think James McCarthy should have gotten the Player of the Year, though. But
no.
We'll leave that for today.
We'll go back for that one for another day. No, I think Clifford was absolutely deserving of it. But you said Mick Fitzsimons is all over him in the All-Ireland final. Was it a case of Mick all over him, or just a bit of dodgy wayward shooting at times from Clifford?
Bit of both, I'd say. We have to remember he is still a young player. Which is why it's scary how good he'll be in a few years. But and it just shows you how good of a player he is, that Mick had one of the best man marking days of his entire career, and Clifford still scored 4 points. And there was one or two shots that on another day he would have put over no problem. So, and I think the pass as well for the goal, for Gainey's goal, was just incredible. So it was a bit of both, and it was just a great battle throughout that day between Mick Fitzsimons and David Clifford, because it was back and forth. Great kind of forward against one of the best backs that there has been over the last 10-15 years. It was just incredible to witness it. You know what I mean? And it was just a great occasion. And he was unfortunate to be on the losing side, but look, sport can be cruel, can't it?
Yeah, definitely. I suppose maybe not so much cruel as such, but Paul Mannion, overlooked for an All-Star, seemed to be a little bit, even people outside of Dublin, I think, were probably a little bit surprised. He had a very strong season. He carried the forward line at different points in different games. Did he miss out?
Probably. There was other forwards that stepped up, though. I think Pascal had a good year. Costello was efficient this year. He was very good. So there was other forwards, but out of all of them, you would be looking as Mannion as one of the main forwards in the Dublin team, and he did have a very good year, as you said. So he would feel left out for sure, but it did definitely take me by surprise a little bit that he wasn't in it. But look, hopefully next year, anyways, we'll see.
Hopefully not. And then you're saying people kind of sick of the Dublin ladies in some ways. They're back to winning ways once again, as they have been for so long. I saw Kilmacud play Milltown actually in the Leinster Championship a couple of weeks ago. Kilmacud got out by the skin of their teeth, but yet Laura McGee, Ava Rutledge, who I know Ava, such a sound lady, just on the day, they're just such good footballers. They can completely turn a game. Ava Rutledge turned that game against Milltown completely and got them over the line. Laura McGee, so you get picking up an All-Star. Carla Rowe, just one of the best footballers we've probably ever seen in ladies football. Dublin possibly on for another couple more titles in the next few years.
Hopefully, we'll see. They're most of the country wouldn't be saying the same thing. But it's it was great to see them win the All-Ireland this year, because it was a very competitive match against Kerry. Just like the men's game was tight, and it was a great game to watch. So hopefully there is a few All-Irelands in that team. We'll see in the next couple of years, though. But they're capable of a few more All-Irelands. We'll just we'll just have to see what the future holds for them, because it's there for them.
Yeah. I'll give a quick mention as well to Kerry, of course. So many good, probably a sign of individual talent, the fact that Clifford and Louise Hartig were the individual star players of the year, but Kerry have a great team as well, with Chiefra, Paris McCarthy and the likes as well, having played last season. So hopefully we'll see them back again on the Camogie.
We will see them back again, I'd say.
Oh yeah. Well, if some of them come back from Australia, we might see them again, maybe. Cork, obviously. Cork winning the Camogie final, very handy. Amy O'Connor was star with 3, 5 or 6 or 7. I can't remember exactly what the numbers were. Waterford, delighted for them to see them back in a Camogie final after a long time of waiting. And then on the hurling side of things, Limerick win again. TJ gets an all-star, TJ Reid. There's a lot of talk about whether it was merited. He didn't do a whole lot in the semi-final or the final in terms of scoring. A lot of his season was from frees, and he scored 4 points against Westmeath, which, no offense to us here, but there's probably a lot of people who could have scored 4 points against Westmeath that day. We don't even play a lot of hurling. Was it deserved, or Tony Kelly, the highest score from play in the championship, doesn't get it? Is there something amiss there?
Well, I think the Limerick players that were nominated, they deserve to get nominated. But as for TJ Reid, TJ Reid has been one of the best up there, like the top 3 best hurlers in the country for the last 10 years. He's been incredible. He was probably unfortunate to miss out. And you just think of Kilkenny, they're such a great hurling county. Same can be said for the football, but for hurling, they're great hurling county, and you would put TJ Reid in an all-time best Kilkenny hurling team, with the likes of up there with TJ Carey and Henry Shefflin in terms of talent. So he would have been unlucky to miss out. As for Tony Kelly, he was good in the Munster Championship. It did score the hat-trick against Dublin, which is something I want to erase from my memory. But in the semi-final, he was very quiet. And I suppose, if Tony Kelly did kind of perform in that semi-final, then we would be probably sitting here wondering how he didn't get an All-Star. But it's all good scoring a hat-trick against a poor enough on the day Dublin team. But coming up against Kilkenny, he couldn't do much. I think he got a point or something, I'm not sure. But
positionally in that game, he was moved about, you see, by the management, which I don't think did him any favours either. Like, his numbers kind of do add up very well. Like, if you look at, you're saying 3 against Dublin, and Dublin weren't very strong. I was in Belgium, I think, at the European GAA games when they beat Limerick in the championship opener. He scored 6 that day. I think got 13 or 14 against Waterford. He scored another few against Limerick the second time. So probably when you look at the standard of who he was against versus who TJ took on, he's perhaps maybe more deserving of it.
I mean, it is a good point. Because in Munster he was very good. And Clare didn't need to be overly great to beat Dublin that day. I think Dublin were just very disappointing. And the goals were still well taken, but Dublin just did not perform at all, and Clare were very ruthless and clinical. They got the job done. As for the standards, I think there has been arguments whether the standard in Leinster and the standard in Munster has been the same, but Kilkenny have beaten Clare in an All-Ireland semi-final 2 years in a row now. So I think Kilkenny and Galway are at that standard. As for the rest of the province, for Dublin and Wexford, still have a while to go yet. In terms of kind of climbing up the ladder, but in terms of your top four, I'd say at the moment, which is Galway, Kilkenny, Clare, Limerick. Those teams are setting the standards, and it would I suppose in Munster it's a lot harder to get the results and to perform the way that say Limerick did week in, week out. They weren't overly great in Munster, but they knew how to get out of it, which was the main thing. They didn't put all their eggs in one basket. But it is a very valid point. But I think as they said, the standard of those four counties is above all the rest, and in their provinces, their provinces is one thing, and it is more competitive in Munster, but I think when it's All Ireland stage, Munster teams haven't quite proved that in a way, and you've had Limerick, Kilkenny 2 years in a row. The same semi-final, same outcome 2 years in a row.
Yep.
So it's Galway and Kilkenny would survive in Munster, in my opinion. They would get out of Munster. It is a very good point, Don. I'm sure it's one that'll be heavily debated for the next foreseeable future. So
sounds about right. So our All Ireland series then. So we had obviously Dublin men, Dublin ladies. We had Cork and the Camogie, and we had Limerick winning once again in the hurling. Before we get on to our who will win section at the end, we'll have a quick chat, since Ireland are playing New Zealand tomorrow night in what is potentially Stephen Kenny's last game in charge of Ireland. How would you sum up, in short, his tenure as Ireland manager? It's been the worst qualifying campaign since the 60s. A home and away win against Gibraltar, unconvincing home and away wins against Gibraltar, 6 defeats in between France, the Dutch and Greece. He tried to point out in a press conference yesterday, we got beaten 1-0 by a good Dutch team in the Amsterdam, question mark if they're any good or not, really, the Dutch. He said it's not like losing 4-1 to Wales, it's not like being hammered by Cyprus, and it's not like losing to Macedonia like we did in 97, I think it was. It was a desperate game. How would you sum up his tenure?
I describe it as kind of the kind of underwhelming. The results haven't been nice at all to him. But you can see what he's trying to do with this group of players. And it is a young group of players, which you could see kind of bringing Ireland back to where we should be, kind of qualifying for Euros and have a good run to the World Cup. The players are there, but I suppose Stephen Kenny just didn't have the players to fit the system he was trying to do, and it was a positive system he was trying to implement. It was great that he was trying to play that way, but we just didn't have the players to do it. And, you know, it's all great for kind of, you know, he has been in the job for a couple of years, and, you know, we have given him, you know, a lot of time to kind of try put his plan into action. But, you know, we have learned that if you can't do the basics, then you can't play any system. And we could never do the basics right. And that's what's really let us down. Because, you know, the basics is the most important thing. And we were constantly we were constantly kind of making mistakes with the basics, which had the whole thing crumbling down and caving in on top of us. So, and that kind of left us easy pickings, and that's why things have gone so terribly for Steve and Kenny. But you know, I see what he's trying to do, but as much as I see what he's trying to do, I can't see him lasting past the New Zealand game. I think, to be honest, kind of the results have, the recent results, you know, the Greece game and all that have kind of been the last nails in the coffin for Stephen. And I can't see him. I can't see him lasting past the New Zealand game, if I'm honest with you. Hopefully, you know, I hope, you know, when we get the basics right, I'm sure if we did get the basics right, I'm sure he would have been very successful with this Ireland team. But it just didn't work out that way.
Yeah, I think it's a fair underwhelming is probably a good word to use. It's probably apt, I suppose. I think it looked like it was kind of falling apart at that defeat to Luxembourg at home. I think that was, for me, the lowest point since Cyprus, is the 5-2 in Cyprus, and I can't think probably a long way back to like bad games against Liechtenstein, Macedonia in the late 90s. So I can remember very well. Probably my other ones, but we'll have to mention Stephen again in a minute, because a quick word, I suppose. We'll give a shout out to Athlone Town, Westmeath / Roscommon side, who won the women's FAI Cup the other day, beating Shells. Commiserations to Shells, who last season had at centre back my former student Jessie Stapleton in the League Cup winning side, who's now off enjoying herself over with the Hammers, West Ham in London. So I hope you're doing well, Jessie. But fair play to Athlone Town, 99 years, just short of a century for them to win a cup, and it's fantastic for them. So just wanted to give a shout out to them, even though I don't support Athlone. I just want to mention them as well. It's delighted for the county. And well done to Jessica Hennessy as well, Loughnane Valley girl from out the road, Shamrock Rovers centre back, who I know, who was on the commentary yesterday as well. So well done, Jess. Right, so final part for myself and Connla is who will win. So I'm going to ask Connla for his answers on this one. I'm going to give my answers on it. I'm going to keep a quick record of them, and when time comes, Connla's going to come back on and defend his picks and why they were all wrong. And I'm going to talk about why all mine were so great and correct, just like my fantasy team at the moment, which are lingering in, I think there's 6 million people in fantasy. If there is, then at the moment I'm 9 million. That's how far back I am. Connla.
Right. We'll move on quickly from that anyways.
Premier League 2024. Who are you picking to win?
I think City by 2-3 points, Arsenal close second.
So City and then Arsenal. I'm just going to go with City, and it pains me to say this since I married into a Liverpool family, but I think Liverpool will finish second with the run that they're on. League of Ireland.
Right.
Are you going League of Ireland for 5 in a row for your beloved shower of hoops?
I mean, I'll be going to a lot of the matches next year, so drive for 5. We'll do the drive for 5. Okay. We'll do it.
All right. I think
just about. Just about.
Yeah, I again, I don't like Shamrock Rovers, but I'm picking winners. I think that they will win it. This one's always an interesting one because I think it could be anyone's game, and my beloved Sligo Rovers have won this a couple of times. The FAI Cup for next year, after seeing the final only last week. Hard one to call when it's another year away, but
Very, very unpredictable, this one, because yeah, I think I'm sure it'll be kind of a Premiership team that'll win it.
okay.
I'm thinking. See, I wouldn't have much faith in Rovers in the cup competition, but I suppose Pat's there again, and you could have maybe Pats could be there, Shells could be there.
I'll give you my one anyway. I think Bowes could be a good shout next year too.
Bowes could be a good shout.
anyway,
Yeah, I think Bowes are a good shout. The other, I could see Derry, Pats, and Galway. Believe it or not, actually getting there.
Who are you going to go
So,
with?
something different, just for something different. I think.
You can't decide
to stay because I'm Rovers, but you know what? I'll go for the juggler. I'm going Shells.
Shells.
Believe it or not, it's a bold prediction, but I'm going for it.
Okay.
Enough.
Champions League winners next May.
I think.
I've got mine in my head. I know who I said would win it, so I'm going to stick with them. But I'm going to let you answer first here. So.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I think. Maybe Bayern.
That's who I have.
I
go for Bayern just for the Harry Kane factor. They're ropey enough defensively, but I just think the Harry Kane factor will be such a good story.
And look, Champions League has become a bit unpredictable now as well, so might as well.
Six Nations.
I think Six Nations after a World Cup, you just don't know. But I think Boys in Green will do it.
Okay.
Boys in Green will do it. I have faith in Ireland. I have faith in my country that will do it.
I do as well, but I think France have several young stars coming through that I think are just going to open up.
If we don't win it, France will win it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Next July, August, whatever they decide to play it, who will be the All-Ireland men's football champions?
If Cluxton, Mick, and James stay, Dublin will do it. But if they retire, Kerry will do
it. Okay. Apparently, the WhatsApp group is still the same. Nobody has left it, from what I've heard in the Dublin side. So never know.
Fair enough.
I think Kerry will win it. I haven't thought this one out entirely. It's kind of similar. I think if Dublin were to lose a few of the very experienced heads,
if we lose the old guard, Kerry will win it.
Yeah, I think bringing Cluxton back, it was a master stroke, fair enough. But if I was Evan Comerford, I wouldn't be too impressed, to say the least.
Or David O'Hanlon as well.
Yeah, or O'Hanlon either, of course. Yeah. Kerry is my kind of shot at it. My other one is Galway, because I have a great grow for Galway in general. have been born there. The one
Well,
that
if they have the players there, it's just they were too defensive last year. That's why they went backwards. So if they go more attacking and actually utilize the attacking options they have, they'll be a real threat.
Okay.
But if they keep playing defensive, they won't.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that one as well, I have to say. We'll have to go one-word answers for some of these because our time is running out on these ones. But the hurling.
Oh, yeah, of course. The what?
Hurling.
I can't see anyone stopping Limerick. I think they'll do 5 in a row.
Okay. I can't either, but just because I don't want Limerick to win, I'm going to say Clare to come up trumps this time. The women's football, Dublin again.
Ladies, yeah, we'll go with Dublin again. Why not?
Yeah, I'm going with that too. I don't see them being stopped. The Camogie.
Cork or can you go away? I'm going to go with. Let's go with Galway.
Nice.
Hold on. Spice it up a bit.
Yep. I'm going to go with Cork to do back-to-back again. And the final one, which you said we would come back to, you don't have to give any reasons or anything, but who will replace Stephen Kenny when he inevitably goes? There's one for you to think about. I have a name that I've had for a while, and he's completely untested, but I just think, given his career so far, I'd like to see him have a go. If we're going to give a League of Ireland manager a go, I think then maybe this might be the next step in types of people that we hire, but I'll let you answer first.
Yeah. Who's
it could be the dream person you want in, or it could be the option that nobody wants, but we might have to take.
I'd say, what's your man's name? Your one who won was it a World Cup with England? With the youth players?
It was Lee Cardsley.
Yeah. It's either him or I'd say the Pats manager. I think those are your 2 options.
Pats manager?
Yeah.
As in like the Pats women's manager, like Noel King, or
the men's manager?
Who's that? I can't remember. I'll write down.
He's done well with Pats. I think, if we're going League of Ireland, I think he's the right option.
I think who we will get, because he's already said it out loud, is that he's interested. I think we could end up with Gus Poyet from Greece, because Greece aren't exactly setting trees alight. But the one I would like to see, just to give him a go, is Anthony Barry. He's been a superb assistant manager, and he's now with Bayern Munich as assistant, and I would love to see him get a shot at. I think it's Bayern Munich he's with, but yeah, he's been a name that's been thereabouts for so long. I'd love to see him get a go with it. So Premier League, you're going City first, Arsenal second. I'm going City first, Pool second. League of Ireland, we both have Shamrock Rovers. FAI Cup, your Shells and Bows. Champions League, we both said Bayern. I think we just want to see Harry Kane win for the crack. Six Nations.
Yeah, why not?
You've gone Ireland, I've gone France. Football, Dublin, I've gone Kerry. Hurling, you've gone Limerick, I've gone Clare, just because I want to see Clare win it. And not Limerick. I'll take anyone except Limerick. The women's football.
Yeah, probably.
Women's football, both for Dublin. Camogie, you've gone Galway, I've gone Cork. To finish off, Lee Cardsley, or the man in charge of Pats, who I've forgotten, and I've gone for Gus Poyet or Anthony Barry. That has been the review of the 2023 sporting season with myself and with Connla McCarthy, former Westmeath Topic man, and now with the Kildare Nationalist and the Offaly Tribune. Connla, for your debut podcast, it's been fantastic. Thank you so much for all your insights and for coming along and
thanks for having me.
Giving up your evening, and hopefully we'll have you back again in 2024 at some stage to chat about why why Bows won the FAI Cup, why France won the Six Nations, why Clare won the hurling.
That won't be for a while yet, I don't think.
Yeah, not just yet. But Connla, thanks so much, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. See ya.
Brilliant. Slán.
A high lobbing, dropping ball in towards the this shot.
Well, Joe Bradley, what do you think of that?
Sure, it's a cracking championship draw, isn't it? They're great games in Munster.
I thought there was some great games of hurling there tonight.
But as we always say, goals will win games.
He hits it! It's over the bar! Oh! Holy Moses! I believe the Irish personnel working with the UN are listening to the match in Cyprus. Cardine and Arthur kind of fooling them.
But I tell you what, you can forget about Sean Kavanagh as far as he's a man.